to the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast. We'll be sitting down with a fresh guest each week. Someone who shares the same kayak fishing passion that runs through our veins. We're talking kayak anglers, kayak companies, lure experts. Heck, anyone who's got a story to tell about landing the big ones from a kayak. We're setting our sights on becoming the #1 kayak fishing podcast in the world. You'll get a chuckle, a grin, and hey, maybe even a belly laugh. Because we believe in the power of humor. But above all, we're here to educate and inspire. So, whether you're a seasoned kayak angler or just dipping your toes into this exhilarating world, join us on the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast. It's time to reel in adventure, camaraderie, and the joy of the catch. Here's your host, Daren Wendell.
Hey guys, welcome to podcast episode number 40, brought to you by the Wendell Fishing YouTube channel. Guys, we got Gregory on tonight, and we are going to be geeking out about some pre-fishing strategy. We're going to talk about the Kayak Adventure Series. Pumped to hear about that because that's kind of new, and I don't believe the website's even out, and there's only been like one stream for that, so that's going to be awesome. And we're going to hear about what the latest is at Crescent Kayak. So I am pumped up tonight, guys. We've got some upcoming guests coming down the pike. Got the Knucklehead winners coming up next week. The Bearded Paddler after that. I booked Impulse Rods. I had an absolute freaking blast on the Alex Rudd podcast last Friday night. Had another party on Debo's Fishing and Dizzle this past Saturday night. So it's been an incredible week. And what else is awesome is my daughter, Mercy Wendell. Here, I got a photo for you for those who are not on the podcast. There she is. She just won her second tournament, right? So our church has a little church fish off. Last year it was like 60 people. She won most fish with like 16. And then there's probably 30 anglers this past Sunday, and she won most fish with 6 bass. And so pretty proud of her. It's like a secret. It's not really a secret. I tell my wife all the time, like, I really want my daughter to help be a part of the Wendell Fishing channel here moving forward. But that was awesome. So I'm pumped about that. But let's give it a Knucklehead update here. Let me share my screen. And it's coming. This might be the last time. Maybe next week might be the last time we talk about the Knucklehead Bass Fishing Series. But this is the last month. And let's see who's sitting in the top 5 places. We got Ellis McRobertson first with 103.75 inches over 5 fish. That's like 20-inch fish for this top 5. Congrats, Ellis. Tammy Sanchez, who's already on the team, which I'm excited about because she continues to put bigs on the board, 99.25 inches. Jake Tomlin, also already on the team, 94 inches. I'm coming in 4th with 93 inches. And Levi Bolgren, 89.5 inches. But keep this in mind. Ellis has signed up for a variety of other teams. So if he decides to pick a losing team and not pick Team Wendell, then that'll break it down. Levi, you could be up for winning the last spot on Team Wendell. So pretty excited about that. So we'll see what happens there. But guys, let's go ahead and move into the juice tonight. Remember, this is an interactive show. We want to hear your questions. But let me welcome to the show 2022 Bassmaster Kayak Series Angler of the Year, including 3 back-to-back wins. Won 6 times nationally in 22, earned the Hobie Angler of the Year title in 2020. The Director of Fishing. I mean, come on, what better title is that at Crescent Kayaks? My man, Gregory. Welcome to the show, brother.
What's going on, bud? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I am just pumped for tonight. I've been pumped to have you slated for a long time now. So I know you. I've seen you on other podcasts, so forth and so on. It's like we got to get him on KFO, and so thank you.
I cannot wait, man. Let's get into it. I mean, we've got a lot of folks out there I know that are listening and watching, and they're going to keep this train and party rolling with some good questions. And I'm excited, man. I'm really pumped because, here's what's cool about fishing. I didn't really know a ton about, you and your channel, and you reached out, and it's just incredible. Like this, whole separate population of, and I didn't know Alex Rudd before I met him and went on his podcast. There's all these people out there with these giant, massive followings and groups of folks and incredible shows, incredible talents like yourself. And then boom, like it's just, you get exposed to something new, and look at all that, like all your fans and all your folks now, I get exposed to what we're doing. So it's just kind of cool that we get to team up and do something like this, bud.
Heck yeah. Well, let's talk about the thing that we might be like second to talk about. This kayak adventure series. Like, hit us with what's
Yeah.
going on there because you can't find it on the interwebs right now, right?
Not really. I mean, we did one live stream about it just because, people were asking questions. A lot of rumors were getting out there because we had to kind of talk about it with people at ICAST. And of course, once you talk about anything at ICAST, forget that. Once you just talk about anything through a text to somebody that's private, it doesn't matter. Everything just is all of a sudden can easily become public, So, and we knew it would, of course. So once we started talking to sponsors and people there, and I talked to the other tournament directors, we knew someone was going to talk about it with somebody, and then they were going to say something to somebody, and that's okay. We weren't trying to keep it a big time secret or anything at that point. But yeah, we did a live stream and talked about it. It's on my YouTube channel, and it's on Jeff Little's YouTube channel. It's on the Serious Angler channel. It's on just several channels. You guys can go check it out. Paddle and Fin, I believe. So
Nice.
go listen to it. It's probably an hour and a half long. We talk all about it, but basically it's a new, kayak fishing tournament series. It's sort of like has a festival component to it, or multiple festivals, really, Thursday and Saturday festival component to it. Think live music, food trucks, games, bouncy houses for kids, kayak demos, Toyota truck demos, ATV demos, stuff like that is going on. And the results, the coolest part really, in my opinion, is the results are going to be held in these historic theaters, in these kind of quaint little small, medium, small cities we go to that have these historic theaters downtown with the marquee and all the lights. So it gives our real stage to be on. Confetti's going to go off, smoke machines. They're on a real stage, and we're in the air conditioning, because these events are next year, 2024, and mostly in the warmer months. You're in AC, you got food to drink, you got a comfortable seat. What's not to love? And then after the awards are over, we go to an after party. There's even more partying. We're pushing each other in the bushes. 1 a.m., 2 a.m. It's just having a blast because our awards are on Saturday. So everyone's going to be there to celebrate, and there's no reason to leave, right? So to leave the fun. That's kind of the gist of it. There's a lot of other cool things, different categories and ways you can win besides just the 5 biggest fish. But it's a day and a half format, a very unique day and a half, a Friday afternoon combined with a Saturday. But it's still just 5 fish between both. So if you don't make it Friday afternoon, you're not it's like you can't fish the tournament still. You might be down 4 hours. But anyway, we talk about it in the podcast, and people are looking forward to it. And I know people are probably making comments about it. It's just different twists, man. Just kind of, and a 2-man team, by the way. I will mention that. The 2-man team division.
Oh, okay.
A lot of buzz. I did that back with the River Bass and Tournament Trail. So that's another cool concept. And then, of course, awards for the top youth and stuff like that, man. I could go on and on, but I will mention this because I promised people a special nugget that we didn't talk about on the live stream. So people who, are listening to this will get the little different nugget I didn't talk about on the live stream. The Angler of the Year and the Team of the Year. I don't believe we talked about that. It's calculated in a way that no other tournament trail has ever done it before.
Okay.
And I can't get into all the details now, but I can kind of loosely explain it. Basically what it is, there's a tournament trail in Alabama that my buddy Lance Cooley kind of helps run. I forget which, if it's the Iron City Kayak Anglers maybe. But there are a couple tournament series there, and he developed a new AOI points, I don't know what the word is, a points accumulation or whatever, just a configuration. Someone help me out with the word I'm looking for. But anyway, what he did is he said, it just seems odd to me that if you catch, let's say, a quarter of an inch or half an inch below the leader of the tournament, that you only, you might get 1 point less or whatever it is for the AOI. But then all of a sudden, let's say there's people that are 10 inches below you two, and they get just 1 point less, and you had half an inch or a quarter of an inch from that winner, and they're 10 inches below. Or let's say like 10 people are stacked within a half an inch. There's a bunch of tiebreakers or whatever, and you might only be an inch, let's say, off of the leader, but you're in 11th place, and you get 11th place AOI points, but you're literally just an inch off the leader. I mean, is that really like showing? Is it really indicative of how good of a day you had on the water? I mean, you're only an inch behind. So he came up with this standard where the leader of the tournament, whoever wins the tournament, sets a standard. That's the score, right? That's the score. That's the maximum score for the day. And everybody else gets the number of points that's a percentage of whatever they got towards that top angler score. So basically what that means is, let's say 2 people tied at first. Let's say you got 2 people that are tied. Okay. Obviously, you got to break the tiebreaker by the biggest bass. But after that, for AOI points purposes, you could get the exact same number of AOI points as the winner. Or if you're in a tie for 3rd or 4th or whatever, or you guys are all real close, you're just getting a percentage of what you got to that standard score that the angler up top set. So basically, to sum it up the easiest way, you get what you earn and what you deserved on how good your day was. You don't got to worry about these big gaps. And if you smoke the competition, like smoked them and you won by 10 inches, you deserve to have a little buffer in AOI points because you absolutely crushed everybody.
Right.
And that was not easy. That doesn't happen very often. So you deserve that cushion. It also keeps it from being tiebreakers because it actually gets decimal points into the calculation. So you really don't end up with tiebreakers for AOI. So it's pretty cool. You just get what you earn, what you deserve.
It sounds like you're like scoring on the curve. Like if you're grading on the curve, the top person creates the baseline and you.
Yeah, that's a good.
I don't know. I'm not good at here. I got nuts ponds over here. It's like the math is making my head spin. Yeah, I'm glad someone else is figuring it out because my brain hurts a little bit. It sounds like it's you're trying to credit anglers for better.
What they actually, and you don't have to worry about the math. So that's the good news, nuts. Yeah, you don't have to worry about the math. You just have to know that whatever you actually caught compared to the person who set the bar for that day, whatever you got up to his, score, you're getting the points based on that. So you get what you deserve, and that's all that matters. Like you kind of want what you deserve. So it's pretty cool system. And so anyway, we'll see how it works out. But everyone who's been using it at the local club level absolutely loves it because you don't get one of those situations where, man, you were right up there, but you're only an inch or inch and a half off, but you're somehow all the way down in 10th or 11th or 12th place. And that those points don't really add up to how good of a day you had, And so anyway,
you got some people on here liking it. Mainstream Fishing, who, by the way, we're talking back and forth. I'm going to be on his show here in the upcoming weeks. He's like, wow, I like that system. So, all right.
Yeah, it'll be cool.
Yeah, that's great. So someone said it sounds like NASCAR playoffs. Thanks, other life.
we are, even though our website's not up, by the way, before we transition, we are on Instagram, we are on Facebook, and have a YouTube channel, but you guys can go follow us on there for more information about it. So,
well, where are these located?
Oh yeah, the events are going to be we start in Georgia with one called Shoalie Palooza. So we have a festival name for each one of them. So we'll start with Shoalie Palooza so you guys can catch your first shoal bass. It's a bucket list fish for a lot of people. Of course, we're going to talk crescent kayaks later, so we'll talk about the Shoalie kayak, and which proceeds, every sale of a Shoalie kayak goes to the Flint River Keeper to help restore the habitat for the shoal bass and protect the shoal bass and the fish and those rivers they live in. And of course, we're going to have the Flint River Keeper there as well to raise money for them, pediatric cancer at that event as well. So Shoalie Palooza is going to be awesome. The next one, we go to Michigan for Wild Whitehall. It's in Whitehall, Michigan. Lots of rivers and lakes, up there that flow into the east side of Lake Michigan that are great fisheries, largemouth and smallmouth.
That's like Muskegon area, right?
Yes, Muskegon, just north of Muskegon. So you got Muskegon River, Muskegon Lake, the White River, the White Lake. You got Grand River is about as far south as we go. It creates a lake, going in before it goes in. They all create lakes before they go into the Lake Michigan. And then north of Whitehall, there's other lakes up there too that are awesome. They're a little bit smaller, but they're all in balance, and the rivers that feed into them. So it's pretty cool. And then after Whitehall, we will go to Poplar Bluff, Missouri, like kind of early July. And so that'll be another fun one because Poplar Bluff is the gateway to the Ozarks, that town. So it's right there where the Ozarks start. So if you think about it, we let, most tournaments, are this way, and ours is the tournament headquarters is the center of the radius for the boundary water you can fish, right? So we let people fish lakes and rivers. And so Poplar Bluff is the gateway to the Ozarks. So the mountains start right there. So you can either fish Clearwater, Ozark type rivers and lakes, Lake Wapapello, Clearwater Lake, Duck Creek Conservation Area Lake, or you can, Duck Creek's more in the Mississippi floodplain, or you could go south and east of the whole city, right? And you're in that floodplain water for the Mississippi floodplain. And it's honestly, we say it's Missouri, but it's 3.5 hours from Nashville. It's super close for most people in the country. So we're going to the Ozarks. We wanted to keep this kind of centralized for year one. We're going kind of out central, but it's still, easy enough for the Ozark anglers to get to. They just got to go a little bit east, and everyone else can come west, not too far, and we'll be there. It's going to be awesome. Awesome. And then the next one we go to is Towanda, Pennsylvania, and that's on the border of New York and Pennsylvania. So it kind of feels like, New York waters will be in bounds for that event. So you can kind of fish in New York, Pennsylvania, and it's on the Susquehanna River. It's called by the way, the Ozark one is called Ozarkana. That was our name for the festival. It's going to be Ozarkana. And then in the the Pennsylvania one, it's going to be the Fiesta on the Susky. So it's a big party on the Susquehanna River, which is kind of how it always is. And our after party, I think, is going to be at a taco place too. So that was kind of play on the Fiesta on the Susky. So we're going to have a good time there. And we also are going to, after that, go to, by the way, that one doesn't have any lakes in play just because it's the Susquehanna River. And, it's got all the tributaries that flow into it are in bounds. And all of our tournaments, you can access water publicly wherever there's public access. So there's no designated launches. It just has to be a public launch. And then you can portage and do stuff like that. You can wade fish. So the Susquehanna, you'll see a lot of that going on. And of course, a lot of big smallmouth. And then we go to a really exciting event north of Madison, Wisconsin, in a city called Sauk Prairie.
Okay.
So that's going to be really cool because there are some giant, again, largemouth and smallmouth are going to play in that one as well. And then and that's called the Wisconsin River Fest. So that's on the Wisconsin River, and it forms a lake called Lake Wisconsin.
Who named that one? Because all the other ones are like Shoaly Palooza, and then you got the Wisconsin River Fest.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It kind of, listen, we're going to several places that have rivers, the Susquehanna River, the Wisconsin River. It was kind of nice. Like the word fest, River Fest or whatever fest, like Paddle Fest. I know that we have a Paddle Fest here in Ohio and all over. We had to use something fest, at least one of these. So Wisconsin River, it was already the Wisconsin River we're fishing. We're like, hey, let's just put the word fest on the end of that one. Call it done. And our championship is not announced yet, but it is October like 4th and 5th, and it's going to be called Broodstock. That's the name of our championship, kind of like the Bassmaster Classic, Red Crest. Ours is called Broodstock, and we'll announce the location for that later. It's still between two cities locations. It's very centralized in the country. I will say that it's fairly centralized, either one of those locations. But yeah, Broodstock is kind of the play on Woodstock, so.
Heck yeah.
I think you probably approve of that one a little bit better than
approved. Yes. Creativity approved. Check.
Yes. Yep. Broodstock it is. So we want people to look back and, 5-10 years from now, 20 years, be like, dude, I was at Broodstock 1. It was epic, blah, blah, blah. We had such a good time, and we were at such and such place and caught all these fish. And it was, whatever. We ended up in the bouncy house somehow. I don't know how. They told us it was kids only. And next thing you know, it's, 12 a.m. We're jumping around. We got a lot of wild stuff planned for everybody, so we're excited.
That sounds like it's gonna be a great time. As you're mentioning all these places, I'm like, come on, please, somewhere close to me, somewhere, and like it's all around me. I live in Canton, Ohio, right? And so
where closest, are you at, by the way?
Northeast Ohio.
Are you really?
Like Canton, hour south of Cleveland.
So you're pretty much near where I live. Then
where are you at?
I'm in Kent.
Ohio. Oh.
Yeah, we're like super, I could have just drove down there.
Well, yeah, we should have just done this. Like,
we have to do this apart.
I did not know where you were. I thought you actually were down by Crescent, which is Georgia or something like that.
No, well, I'm from there originally. I'm from Georgia originally. That may be why you think that. A lot of people think that because I'm from Georgia originally, and then I lived in Charlotte for 10 years. I lived in South Carolina for 5 as well. So I went to college in Tennessee. I made the whole Southeast tour. So, but now I'm in Northeast Ohio. I married a sweet girl from Northeast Ohio, and we're up here now with 2 kids and got the free babysitting deal going with the grandparents and the support from the family, so I can still get away and do the fishing and work on stuff like this every once in a while. And now the Kayak Adventure Series, which by the way, I should mention, now they got the family. It's one thing about the Kayak Adventure Series that we love. It's promoted and made. We have events and things going on for the entire family. Yeah. So when I go and fish hardcore on something like the Bassmaster or Hobie or KBF, it's too serious and hardcore. It's hard to bring the family. It's like sun up to sundown practice and a grind. And I'm sure people will take the Kayak Adventure Series that serious as well. There's no doubt about it. Because when you get a bunch of people, we're expecting a lot of people to be at these events, 200-300 plus. Well, you're going to have a big payout when entry fee is $150 for an individual division. And by the way, it's $150 for two-man team as well, but that's just $75 a person. So, but anyway, you can take it serious, but we have a lot of activities for the whole family. We have excursions. We have stuff on the website listed for attractions in the area that would be sights to see or hikes to do or river tubing over here or swimming or mini golf, whatever is going on. There's things for the family. And when my wife and kids are at these with me, which they should be at most of them, they're going to be leading a little excursion on Saturday for the other families that are there that have kids. And the idea is so our wives, kids, families, and if you don't have wives and kids yet, so that you can really bond with the other anglers, the community that that we all love, kayak fishing for, it's community, right? There's time built in our series for you guys to hang out, and it doesn't impact the fishing. That's why we actually are doing a Thursday opening ceremonies and a Friday starting at 3 p.m. So you can't pre-fish Friday, morning. So it's Thursday evening. We have all that evening to hang out, and there's no reason not to be out late and just spending time getting to know each other. Maybe you're going through something, you need someone to talk to. This is your family, kayak fishermen. We kind of are a family. So it's a good place for you to talk to people, open up about whatever you want in your life, and develop relationships and friendships, because no human on earth doesn't need that. So that's what that's for, Thursday. And then starting late on Friday. By the way, I have seminars and stuff on Friday morning as well, seminars and stuff going on. And then Saturday is the party again. You don't have to leave because you don't have to get to work on Sunday. It's only Saturday night. So stay there, celebrate, develop those friendships even more with your kids, families, whoever. And yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. So,
speaking of seminars, how I kind of found you is sometimes how I find individuals to invite on the show. Like I'll go to I know there was a fishing convention down in Columbus. And so I go through and look at all the speakers. I'm like, who would be interesting to have on the KFO show? Oh, Drew, there we go. I'll reach out to you.
Perfect.
And that's how I found you. Like, hey, can you come on and talk? Because I know you've done seminars on, river bassing, which kind of like your thing.
Sure.
And then we started talking a little bit. And you're like, let's talk about pre-fishing strategy. So this is going to be our segue, and we can finish it up with some Crescent Kayak talk at the end.
Cool.
But so this is what, in my opinion, one of the things that's overlooked the most, right? A lot of people just head out to the water when you can without even really thinking or doing any strategy pre-fishing. Now, as a tournament angler, it doesn't happen by accident, right? There's a lot of work that goes on in the front end before you even hit the water, like days, maybe even weeks beforehand. Break it down for us, because I have found personally that I have found some of the greatest gains in my kayak fishing kind of evolving as a kayak angler with pre-fishing strategies. But I would love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Walk us through, what do you do?
Yeah. So everyone's got a little bit different approach. And I mean, for me, let me explain first of all what a tournament really is. If you really haven't thought about it from this big 30,000 foot view, a tournament really is about, figuring a puzzle out quicker than everybody else. And even then, you can hook the fish, you can figure the puzzle out, you can hook them and they can get off. So even then it doesn't guarantee anything, but it's just about putting yourself in the best odds to succeed. And generally what that means, what we're going to talk about today, is it actually is giving yourselves the highest floor possible. If that makes sense, the highest floor in this entire field of anglers possible, because you've figured the puzzle out faster than anyone else. So that's what pre-fishing, and even during the tournament too, of course, but at that point it's very much the clock is ticking. But in pre-fishing, you've got a lot of time, which is honestly, it's my favorite part of all tournament fishing. It's the pre-fishing strategy, the scouting. That's why when you said we're going to talk pre-fishing strategies, I mean, I don't have to even make notes. I have nothing here, no notes. I'm just going to talk because it's my favorite thing to do. So, so obviously we only have so much time here, and I do seminars and teach people about this, and I'll do some more virtual seminars that people can sign up for, later this year probably. But basically it's just about figuring it out as soon as possible. So I've developed a couple things that have helped me do that. So one, and what I was saying is it's my favorite part. So whenever a tournament schedule gets announced, like this Kayak Adventure Series just got announced, you can start looking at that water and start doing so many things online, research before you get there. Because honestly, it's my favorite part, the same way that, dude, this dating back to high school or whatever, middle school, high school, whatever it was, you had a date, you're looking forward to going out with this girl. And honestly, the anticipation sometimes of it is just as exciting as the actual, experience, right? So the event, maybe it's a concert or a football game, whatever you're into. So this really is my passion, is the pre-fishing, and it's figuring this puzzle out. And the map study that goes into it, the YouTubing, the Googling, all of that stuff, to just figure out. You never know where you're going to find a little clue somewhere that may seem insignificant, that later on becomes the whole key to unlocking that puzzle a little quicker on tournament day. So what I do is I first start with, obviously you got to know what water you're fishing, the boundaries. Let's just for ease here is just say it's a lake and you're allowed to fish the rivers and creeks that go up the lake. So I go and get a, I use Google Earth Pro. You might want to get that. It's a desktop version. I believe Android, you can pull it on a tablet as well. But Google Earth Pro is a little bit better than the Google Maps online, just because you can go back and there's different tools you can have on it. There's a history tool, a timeline where you can go back and see all the satellite images from over the years. So you can look at a
you can
body.
see where like the lily pads come and go over the years and all
Yeah,
kinds of stuff.
exactly. Generally, not always, but generally, I am going to do my map study with that satellite image that is the lowest water level possible of rivers and creeks, and that's just going to expose all the underwater boulders and rocks and stumps and anything that's unique and different under the water, a little drop offs, things like that. There are other times you might want to change that, but anyway, that's what I'm doing. But what you want to do is just go around the entire lake, right? The entire lake, and up all the rivers and creeks that are connected, that are in bounds, and start dropping pins on spots that look interesting, or even particular, like a random boulder out in the middle of the lake or somewhere that you saw at low water. Anything that just looks unique, like you said, weeds, lily pads, anything that looks unique. Now, here's what's crazy. You're probably thinking, you guys listening here, watching, are probably thinking to yourself, well, if I did that, I'm probably going to be just dropping tons of pins all over the place, like constantly, because you're always seeing something that looks fishy, right?
Right.
Well, yeah, at first you are, but what you got to do is once you go around the whole thing, then, and you do that, then wait a day or wait a week or whatever, however long. And then I want you to go back around again. And now and start pulling away pins. And here's why, and here's how. Now you know what's truly unique and different in that fishery, right? Because when you first do it, when you first get to a set of lily pads, you're like, oh, wow, lily pads. Well, the whole lake could be lily pads. And at that point, when you've gone around it, you've dropped pins everywhere. You're like, lily pads are not that special in this lake. They're not that different. And bass like to live and be in places that are a little bit, your bigger bass. Let me put it that way. Your alphas, the ones you want to catch in a tournament, are going to be no different than humans. So, I mean, let's face it, we're not raking in the money in this kayak fishing industry, right? We work in it. We live, we're not raking it in. So we probably don't live in the biggest mansion on the biggest point on a lake, or, La Jolla, California, or wherever. We're not like, we don't have some prime piece of real estate. But those people have, worked their way up, or however they got the money. But you get it what I'm saying. Like, the alpha fish are going to push out, and they're going to, get the best spot for ambushing their prey, for hiding, for living, right? Deep water close by, whatever they need, the right current kind of pushing. And to be able to really start pulling away some pins, you've got to go around the whole lake and drop a bunch of pins, and then pull some back, because you can never, right? Because eventually these waypoints, these pins you're dropping, are going to be places you want to check out during your pre-fishing. Right. You're never going to be able to hit all these pins. Now, and the better you get at, and the more fishing you do, and pre-fishing and just fishing in general, the more you're going to learn, what is special and what's not. So you're going to be able to drop less pins, and then you're going to be able to go back around and pull away. Now there's fewer pins to pull away, and really, actually, during your pre-fishing time, a few days you got practice, 1, 2, 3 days, or no days, you're going to be able to really hone in on, the spots you really feel are the key. And I do it multiple times, and I go back again and again, like multiple times, keep doing that. You can also use your navionics and things like that are underwater, like, obviously topo kind of maps for the underwater. If you're more of an offshore angler, you're looking for the humps, you're looking for the creek channels, like an outside creek channel bend or something, because, hey, I'm a river and creek guy, and in lakes, they still like to associate with that original river and creek. So
right,
it's a good place to check out. So that's
really quick. Is that a paid service, the Google Pro? Do you have to like pay for that?
It's free. No, that's free.
Oh, okay. You just got to download it on your desktop.
You download it. Yeah. So that's one key. The other thing you got to do is, and another thing to note is, when you're doing this, guys, you don't be concerned about where your designated launches, or where you're able to launch your kayak at that event. Just find the best, where the best spots are. Don't even worry about how you're going to get there. I mean, I don't think there's any scenario where there's a 20-mile paddle to a spot. Most, kayak fishing tournaments, you're going to have usually a chance to get there to that spot in the lake in a day. If it's far away, if you end up seeing a spot that looks great, you want to check it out. And if there are designated launches, don't forget in pre-fishing, there are not designated launches. So don't waste your time launching from a designated launch and going all the way over there. Launch at the closest place possible to just figure that area out, if it's got any, potential or not, and then get out. You do not need to spend. A lot of people spend a lot of time in their pre-fishing in an area once they've even, they've caught some fish, and it was a spot you'd kind of figured out. They keep fishing that same area all day long. And if they do that, then let's say you have 2 days to pre-fish, well, you've only gotten to 2 pins on your map. And my goal is to cover and get to as many of those as possible, because once you're there in person, you really will also see, which areas look the fishiest, feel the fishiest based on so many things. I like to see, like in bass boat worlds, the bass, like the Elite Series pros and the Major League Fishing pros, they really like to, a lot of them obviously know those lakes. They've been there before, but if they've never been to a lake, they like to cruise the whole thing. They want to see the whole thing in their practice days, right? They got 3 days. They might launch from 3 different ramps, upper lake, mid lake, and lower lake. They want to see it all, because how do you know what's good? Like, how do you know it's the right home for you to buy if the first home the realtor shows you, it's probably going to be, it's in your price range. It's probably going to be an awesome looking home.
Yeah,
but
quite
then,
the upgrade.
Yeah, right. And then you see 10 more, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, that first home we looked at seemed awesome when that's all we looked at. But once we saw 10, that's number 7 on our list. So that's why you want to hit a lot of them, because once you start learning what bass need, what they like, the things to look for, birds, bait fish, flickering, the right clarity that suits your ability to fool a bass, and that bass would prefer, not too stained, not too clear. You might want clear because that could be your strategy. But for me, I'm a power fish and I want a right amount of stain and current because I fish rivers and creeks. So you're going around the whole lake, all up all the rivers and creeks. You're looking for the things that are going to give you all these clues. If you see heron on the shoreline and they're just, or any fish eating birds, just any loons diving everywhere, there's bait in the area, things like that. And if you're more of a electronics lake angler, you want to, graph like crazy in the areas that look good. And you don't have to catch all the fish in that area, because I've seen it, people are like, oh, I caught 90 something inches pre-fishing. And I'm thinking, how in the world did you know what you caught? Because I'm never catching 5 out of one area. I mean, maybe they went to multiple areas. I mean, if I catch 80 or 90 or whatever, 100 inches pre-fishing, it's because I went to probably 3 or 4 different areas and added up my totals from those different creeks and rivers that are all, inbounds water. I'm never catching 90 inches out of like one area. If I catch a 17, 18 inch fish, a solid fish for most parts of the country, I'm out.
You're gone.
Yeah, I'm bolted.
I'll see you in a couple days, my friend.
Yeah. I mean, what did we say right at the very beginning? It's all about, this is all a time, it's a time crunch. It's all about just maximizing time and figuring the puzzle out faster than anyone else, because even though 17 and 18s, at very worst, you've got, they're not alone. The fact that fish was there wasn't a coincidence. Now, every once in a while, like 1 out of every, 50 or 100 tournaments or whatever, I might have a total fish that just fooled me. Like I got one good one and I left, and I went back on tournament day and I just can't find anything around there. But generally they're there for a reason, and they're not alone. Bass don't, they don't live alone. There's more bass around in that area. So like the saying goes, 90% of the fish run 10% of the water. And it's pretty true.
Yeah.
So
quick question before we get too far deep into this. When you were saying, let's say you locate a lake, you got the topo map, how much time are you spending going like section to section and then doing it again? And like, how many hours would you say prior? Now, granted, the variable is how big the lake is.
True.
But give us the concept. Give us some context.
I mean, I'd say enough time my wife never has to worry about what I'm doing on the computer phone. She's like, oh, he's over there looking at maps again. So a ton of time. But I don't really know. I just enjoy it. And after I go, because here's the thing, when I go around it and I find all the stuff, then this is where tournament fishing just gets even crazier. Then I think, well, I found all that pretty easy. So if I found it pretty easy, everybody else did. So if everyone else found it easy, now I got to go and search even harder and find out, well, what's something that doesn't seem as obvious. And now I lean towards areas of the lakes and the rivers that don't seem as obvious, because I don't want the to be around, the majority of the pressure, not just on the tournament day, but what probably got pressured hard pre-fishing. I would rather have, a winning spot could easily be a spot that's a B level spot. It's not an A spot. It's not the best spot on the lake, but because the pressure wasn't hit so hard, it's like a secret little B spot, that it wasn't as easy to find. It's got really good fish, but it turns into the winning spot when everybody else splits up the fish at all these other A spots, these obvious places.
Yeah.
But if you're going to go to an obvious A spot, I'll give you a little tip here. We're talking pre-fishing. We're talking, what you're going to do in the tournament a little bit as well, but go there first. If you're going to go to an A spot, go there right off the bat, be the first one there, get what you can, because it's going to get hit later. Steal what you can out of that spot, get it on the board, throw it back, and then load your kayak back up and move to another spot that you feel you may have all yourself that's not as obvious, if that makes sense.
It does. I was just listening to one of the members on my knucklehead team, Tammy Sanchez. She was retelling her story in her tournament. She's like, hey, I went to the spot that I pre-fished only to find out there were 4 other kayak anglers there, and basically it got fished out. She got a few dinks out of what was a sweet spot. Now, she didn't share whether or not it was the first one she went to. Maybe she came in later today, but nonetheless, she wasn't the only one there, and they were the spot was already picked apart.
Yep, exactly. And there's some questions over here too. We could
let's go to this one.
I see Zach. Yeah, he's got a good question.
Zach Valing. Sorry, Zach, I'm going to go with Zach because your last name I'm going to butcher, my boss. There you go. How much stain is too much stain?
Yeah, for me, again, this is very, very much predicated on your style of fishing. For me, I want it also just depends on the lake in general. So some lakes are muddy in nature, and some lakes are clear, super clear in nature. So if it's a muddy lake, I want to find some clearer water to give it a, let's just say the most of the lake is only, a foot visibility, there was a big rain or whatever. I want to try to find clear water where, I can find 2 foot of visibility, double that somewhere else, right? If I can. And then, because your fish are going to be a little bit, able to see a little bit further there, whatnot. And then if it's a clear water lake, I'm usually up in, rivers and creeks, which typically have a little bit more stain. But, I want to find that stain. If it's super clear and you can see 4 or 5 feet, then I want to find water where you can only see, again, 2 or 3 feet, just a little bit less than the rest of the lake. And that gives me a chance, for my style, being a power fisherman, better odds for spinnerbait or buzzbait or chatterbait, things like that, swim bait. It breaks it up. And then if I'm not going to find the right stain, I'm going to find it artificially on the lake. So, in a river or creek, I'm going to find it artificially somewhere with wind and waves on, the windiest part of, the windiest shoreline of the lake, which is going to crash waves. And then of course, sometimes boats come and make wakes too, but I'm going to try to find it artificially when it gets stirred up at, by the time 10, 11 a.m. hits and wind picks up usually, and can create my own turbulence. And wind in the waves creates a little bit more of a, what's the word I'm looking for? It just hides the presentation and it just chops it up a little bit. Your bait gets, a little bit chopped up in that current, and the wind current. So they can't see, see it as well. And they're more ambushing and feet, good. It's a good time for swim bait, spinner bait, chatterbait when you got wind, stuff like that. So
what if you're forced to fish very clear water? You just can't find it manufactured, or it's just
that's a great clear. This is actually a really good question, because it's a tricky one for me and my style. Because if it's all clear, and I've fished tournaments that are like this, then I want to find as much current as I can, because again, at least the waves are going to chop it up, or as much wind. But this is kind of predicated on the time of year, and most of our tournaments are in times of the year where top water works pretty well. But I'll tell you, that's my secret. If it's super clear water, I stick to top water so I can still use my straight braided line, or I burn the bait faster. If it's a spinner bait or a chatterbait that goes under, it's still kind of a top water because I'm burning it and it's on the top of the surface. So I'm fooling fish and making them choose, forcing them to react on baits, like that. So that's kind of what my go-to is when that, or you got to find vegetation again, it kind of hides your, my 30-pound straight braid, which is what I love to just throw, a Sunline SX1 straight braid on everything when I can, just because your hookup ratio is better. We're in a kayak, so there's no stretch. And I mean, believe it or not, you can catch them in pretty darn clear water if you find the right fish in the right situations, even with straight braid. I mean, crystal clear water on the Susquehanna last year, I was catching them on a jig on the bottom, Z-Man cross eyes power finesse jig. Okay. I wish I would have had a spinning rod with me, but I didn't in my shoalie. I should have had it in my little locker in the front of the shoalie kayak, but I didn't have any spinning stuff on me. I was stubborn, and I thought I knew what was going to happen. And I just found a school of fish that were suspended, and it was crystal low, no wind whatsoever. And I'm like, oh my goodness, they're not going to eat this, but they still ate it. But yeah, they munched it. It was not easy. But anyway, yeah, clear water, top water is the way to go if it's the time of year where the water's warm enough.
Yeah. All right, I got some comments over here. Thank you. By the way, you're giving us the juice, folks. Not just great for tournaments, but just great for your local lake and how you fish. So, Cruz Garza, hey, what's up, everyone? New here in the chat. Welcome.
What's up, Cruz?
To the podcast, brother. Got a couple of questions here. One from Zach. He asks, "How are you anchoring? Drift sock, anchor wizard. What's your style?"
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to anchor, it's through something like an anchor wizard. That's a little bit easier for me just to crank it up. There's a few different types of anchor wizard products I believe out there you can check, but that's pretty much what I use. I don't really use, I mean, when you have a motor, that kind of these days it solves it, especially if you've got spot lock on the motor. But I do run a Torpedo these days, and it's just great for the river creek style that I fish. And it's 1103. It's awesome. So I don't really need to anchor a lot, but if I was going to anchor, then yeah, it's going to be that anchor wizard probably.
Right on.
With a drag chain, like a piece of logging chain off the back of that shoalie.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and it works like an anchor if you want it to. Sometimes I run off the front too, but rarely. The front's more if you're fishing upstream in a river, or creek, and then you can hold your position. But again, if I'm fishing upstream, that's when the Torpedo is, it's working its best going upstream, honestly. So it'll hold me in place.
Solid. Awesome. Low Life Angler has a question for you. Drew, do you lock onto a waypoint or play the current to cover more water territory?
I'm kind of almost confused by his question there. Is it more like, I see what he's saying. Do I lock onto an area? Do I lock onto an area and stay kind of like zoned in and fishing the area, or ride the current, downstream and just try to cover a lot of water? Maybe he's saying like that, which I think that's what he's saying. You can clear that up if I'm wrong, Low Life Angler. But I will say I cover more water. I'm a covering water kind of guy. I cover just 15, 20 miles sometimes in tournaments. I mean, just long expanses potentially of water, because I'm going to specific things that I've found that I know I would rather spend, more of my time there and waste, not really, it's not a waste, but waste time, so to speak, getting there and spend more of my time there at those locations that I've already pre-fished. I've already, I pre-found, right? Scouting on my Google Earth thing we talked about earlier. And then went there in person during the tournament, caught some fish that told me that they were there. And then I fished a lot of 2-day tournaments too. That's why I do just a teeny bit of sampling on the fishing side of things, because I need fish to last for 2 days. I need to have an A, B, C, D, E, and F, like sort of places I can go. And if I don't see that many places, pre-fishing, then I'm never going to have them. Worst case, you just have to go pre-fish practice in the tournament. But anyway, I do like to cover a lot of water and a lot of, a lot of miles with the Torpedo if I'm using that. Or if I'm not, I'm just paddling, doing a float trip from point A to point B. Let's say if you set up a shuttle in a tournament.
Yep.
I have to cover a lot of water, but I'm still, I've fished rivers and creeks long enough. And I just kind of know where the high percentage areas for big fish are. And I'm very, very disciplined. This is the hardest thing. If I can say one thing tonight, is once you understand and you start to learn where those big fish live in rivers and creeks, you have to be disciplined to paddle to them, even though the current will gently take you. Like if you're just doing a fun float trip, right, on a Saturday, you don't think about paddling your butt off to the next potential spot where a big fish is, because you're just floating down having fun catching 12, 14 inches. But in a tournament, again, it's like all about time. It's
Time
time
management,
management. And
right?
so you've got to do it. And then, worst case, you run out of spots and you go to some spots that you had pinned, on your map that you didn't get a chance to check out during practice, but at least you're going to all the high percentage stuff and hitting those first and foremost, because we're trying to win the tournament here, and you can just do your fun, relaxing trip on a Saturday without the tournament. But
Right. Oh, we got all kinds of questions over here. So let me hop over here real fast. All right, a couple comments. Cooler Lit AP. I use Spot Lock, which is solid. I think he runs a Old Town autopilot, so not sure, but think so. I think we've had that conversation before. Lost and Tackle said, "Hey, I wish Daren had you on before the Knucklehead tournament." So Lost and Tackle
I know, right?
has been trying to. He's just on the cusp, like every single time, just a couple inches short of winning that spot, but putting in the work.
He did say drift towards your waypoint, question mark. So maybe, yeah, I mean, your waypoint, it's like you just need to be able to approach it and cast at it. It depends on what it is. I mean, if it's an undercut bank, you want to be paralleling the bank. If it's a log that's 90 degrees out in the lake, you want to try to parallel that structure wherever you can for keeping your bait in the strike zone as long as possible, and forcing those fish to ambush and react. You always want to imagine they're behind that boulder, behind that under those undercut roots or whatever it is, right? So I mean, drift towards your waypoint, really you just want to position your boat, paddle, drift, whatever you want to call it, motor, to where your bait is getting as close to that piece of structure. Because I'm a very visual angler with the way I fish. Again, totally on the way I'm fishing. Most all my fish are caught in shallow water, 6 foot or less, and they're caught on, most of them are like 2 or 3 feet or less, and they're caught off of a piece of structure I can visually see with my eyes.
Yep.
Most of them. So again, you want to run that bait as close as you can to that piece of structure, so that's why they're there, is for something to come right by that rock or boulder or stump, root ball, and they ambush it. So that's the key, is just keeping that bait as close to that stuff as possible. And that requires proper boat positioning. Go back and watch one of my YouTube videos that I did. It's one fish mini lessons. I've done a few of them. I'll do more. And I talk and I teach about how to get your boat, your kayak into position with a draw stroke, something that a motor can't do. So you still need your paddle sometimes to be able to pull your boat directly sideways to make sure your kayak is in the best spot for paralleling your structure.
And Drew's been posting videos for the last 14 years on YouTube, so there's quite the deep inventory there. So you can go check that out. Got a couple. I love this question here. It comes from Agent Win Outdoors. They asked the question: how do you know when to leave an area versus staying? This is like key, I would imagine, in tournament fishing, but a way you can burn a lot of time just fun fishing. You're like, holy crap, I was here for an hour and I haven't caught anything. Like, do you have any rules that you live by?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, dependent a little bit on how many other areas you have to go to, potentially. So if you're like, I'm never going to hit all my good spots in this tournament, then, after you've worked that area once, it didn't work out, you might just bail and just keep going to your others. But if you don't have as many of those, and it's a pretty big area, and you did okay practice there, then they're there. You just gotta, you maybe have to go and work around it again, spend a little bit longer there. That's one of the coolest things about tournaments. Honestly, it's a good question, because that's the decision that generally makes it or breaks it for every winner of a tournament. It's deciding when to leave or when to stay, how long to stay, how many fish are there, because you just don't know. I mean, even with live scope, which I don't use it, but or any electronics, but maybe with live scope, maybe how many are there these days, because you can kind of see them. But if you don't have that, that's the biggest decision you'll have all day long. And it's just challenging. It really comes down to, you sampled it during pre-fishing, right? So you didn't catch a lot. So when you get there on tournament day, you should get into some fish pretty quick, and not waste too much time, hour or two. If nothing's happening in a couple hours and you've got other places to go to, I would be out of there, especially if you caught some there pre-fishing. Something is wrong, they're different, you got to relocate them. You may want to at least try to expand, because they may have moved a little bit outside of that main zone and area that you caught them in pre-fishing. But that one's just more of a experience on the water and experience with what's going on. I mean,
Have
how
you
many
ever
other
come
places?
across? I'm sorry. Have you ever come
Yeah.
across someone that has like rules to live by that may be a little different than that? Like, hey, I set timers. I do this. I do that. What are some things you've
Some
heard over the years?
Yeah, some people do set like, and I'll do this. I'll even set a time if I know I need to get out, either make a long motor run or a long paddle or whatever you're doing across the lake or to a different part of the river or whatever, or I have to load my kayak back up and then go to another spot. Then I definitely have. Sometimes I will set a timer. Like I know this. You know how big the area you're going to is. You know how if it's just whatever. Let's say a few docks or a pipe that's flowing some water out or like a spillway dam or something you kind of know how long it takes to kind of fully fish it, right? Or let's
Mm,
say it's a little oxbow kind of pond that water kind of flows into, a little opening you can get in there, and it's a little 2 3 acre little basically pond section of the lake or something. If it's somewhere that you know how long it takes to kind of at least make a cast and cover all the high percentage areas, then you'll set a timer on, like, hey, I need to have an hour there, which means that it takes me 30 minutes from where I am here to get there. You kind of figure all this out, this puzzle,
yep.
the night before. So you can almost set a timer, what time it is. It goes off and you're like, all right, I got to make a decision right now. If I'm going to that spot and going to end my day there, I need to go now, which brings up another really good part of pre-fishing. And I think I answered that question, but is you always want to start. Most tournaments let you get on the water 30 minutes before or 15 minutes
Mm,
before lines in, and even if they don't, then disregard. But you always want to start at your potentially farthest away location, paddle motor to some area that's furthest away, either first or end your day there. Does that make sense? Like, you don't want to kind
yep.
of, because then you can use that 30 minutes at the beginning of the day and it's not wasted. You can get there. Let's say it's an area that's 2 or 3 miles away, and you can get there by lines in time. So you
Mm,
didn't burn up 30 minutes there and 30 minutes back in the middle of the day. You only burned it up on the one way there. And yeah, you got to burn it on the way back, but at least it's just one way, not a whole hour spent just
right.
traveling. And then on the flip side, another area that's super far away and you don't want to go back during the tournament time, do it at your very last spot of the day and just die there. You know what I mean? In there, just because it's got the potential, and you just have no time to go 30 minutes there and 30 minutes back again during tournament hours. So that's
Yeah.
another little tip there.
I mean, you're bringing the juice, 100%. So I got a couple of questions here. One from Tatum Woolridge. Looking at starting my kayak tournament fishing next spring, any other than obvious gear that you would suggest getting in the off season so I don't embarrass myself on day one? And this is followed up by
Yes.
Low Life Angler saying, "Tether down your measure catch board." Sounds like
Yes.
he's learned a lesson.
Sounds like it. Uh, so tethering the catch board is good. In the crescent trolley, which I'm sure we'll touch on here in a little bit, I made a recess in that kayak, so it just stays in there. It doesn't fly out. It doesn't really go anywhere. So you don't have to like move it, grab it from behind you or anything. So that's kind of nice. That'll solve that problem for you right there. She'll
Yep.
get a trolley and you're good. And then, but the other question that I will say, a couple, at least one or two sneaky things. One is, go get yourself a quad lock case. Quad lock is it's my iPhone case, and there's a ring that goes in here and it spins in, and I've got a life jacket that I wear that has a tether, and that ring is on that tether and it goes right in there,
Yep.
and you can't drop or lose your phone. That's one. And the other cool part about quad lock is it's got mounts. Like, you can connect them just like a GoPro mount, and it can just go right on your, when you're using your phone to navigate or to find stuff on satellite images in your kayak. You can put it on that. I wish I had the adapter here, but it could just go right on your kayak. And I use it in my truck all the time, and I just navigate with it. So it just goes from off my quad lock tether into my truck or onto my kayak where I need it to be able to see visually where I'm going. It's just and it can't come out of that. The way that quad lock secures in there, it can't come out. So
Nice.
I would get that for sure. It's not expensive and whatnot. So, and I'm not sponsored by them or anything. It's just somebody that I've always loved and always used, and it's worked great. So that's one. Another thing, what would be, I'm trying to think something else that's not obvious. I would say, like my Yak Attack. It's the retractor they make. is a really good little tip for keeping pliers or scissors, things that you're going to need handy on that retractor on the gear track. I love that little thing. I use it all the time. In polarized glasses, I use Smith Optics. Again, maybe that's too obvious, but I'm looking at visual targets. Like I said, most of my fish, I see the structure they come off of. So a good pair of polarized glasses like Smith Optics can help you see things under the water that another, pair of glasses, especially one that's not polarized, you can't see. So if you can throw a structure that other people can't see that you could see, or you can see the fish themselves, the sight fish, that's huge. I mean, a good pair of polarized glasses. I mean, I've driven back. I mean, all the way back. I mean, I'm 20, 30 minutes away because I forgot them before. I just can't get on the water without them. So I'll probably think of another good one at some point too. It's a smart something that I bring, but those are some for now.
Yeah. So we got Daren Craddock saying, appreciate the podcast. Working on my kayak right now. So thank you for sharing all the info. I love that. I just love that there's guys and girls out there literally just tooling on their kayak as we speak. I love doing that myself. And so it's almost like nostalgic when someone says they're doing it whenever we're talking. So
that's
freaking awesome. Thank you, Daren.
That is awesome, man.
Great name, by the way. So, and Tatum says, hey, thank y'all for the answers. Well, you thank Drew for the answers. I'm just asking the questions. So bring in the juice. So we are coming up to an hour. Can you believe that? So if you got any final call questions for Drew, I want to give a little time to talk about what is happening over at Crescent Kayaks. And so I'm going to share my screen because you haven't been to their website. By the way, tip my hat to whoever made that website. It is like the most aesthetically appealing website I've seen at like a kayak company. I don't know. There's something so
very
crisp and clean to it. And I personally, that's my style. So let's head over here real fast. Check it out. And boom, there we go. All right. So this is kind of like your lineup, right?
Right.
And you guys just launched, which if you've been around or follow a lot of the latest and greatest fishing kayaks, the Shoaly, your first in your specialized fishing. But kind of if you had the opportunity, what you do to talk about one of these or a couple of these to this particular audience, what would you start talking about?
Well, I mean, got to start with the Shoaly since that's the first one that I designed with Crescent. But we're going to talk about others as well because the whole line is great, especially if you're into USA made paddling kayaks that are also super affordable for a USA made quality product. I mean, you cannot find a tougher plastic than the Aqua Tough plastic we use, and it's the toughest plastic there is. It's like tested, proven. So quality product. But yeah, the Shoaly here, as you're scrolling down, you've got all these features that are kind of just, you can tell an angler thought about them. Somebody that actually is on the water a lot thought about it, and put the designs in it. So you can even scroll. You can stop right there if you want. Go up just a tad.
You just tell me where to stop.
You can go up a teeny bit right there. You got a spot for your iPhone for live streaming or a selfie. You've got those grooves there that are rod stagers. And on the top right there, you've got under the seat, you've got rod staging grooves, those little channels right there. You have little teeny U shapes. Then they will simply hold your rods in place, especially if you're going through rapids and things like that, where, the Shoaly loves to, and excels in moving water for sure. So little small things like that. It's not a lot. It's just a little dip in the plastic, but you have to be, and there's that catchboard recess as well.
Which is brilliant, by the way. I was watching.
Yes, thanks, man.
Who was the guy who did the walkthrough video with you? Who seems super
James.
knowledgeable?
He's the owner. Yes, and that's part of the reason why there he is. The website's so clean and neat. Like, he's very meticulous on the branding, the style, and what we do at Crescent, and just the whole vibe and culture of the brand. And what you see on that website, what you see on social media, all that, it's kind of like, his brainchild, his baby, and he's kept it that way, and he's, not really going to ever let it go anywhere else. And like you said, I agree. Let's keep it clean. Let's keep it simple. Let's keep it neat. It's just a better shopping experience and understanding experience when it's like that. If you go all the way down, you were in a picture that showed the front strap, and that's something I would say, even to answer the gentleman's question.
Tell me where to stop.
Earlier, there was
the cam strap
up a little
thing.
bit. There was oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, it's that handle there, but there's a picture closer up somewhere. You'll see it going down, I believe.
Am I going the right way?
No, the other way. Sorry, but you'll see it. But anyway, it's the front handle strap I don't know where it is, but anyway,
I'll find it.
you'll
You
find
keep
it.
talking. I'll
But
find
anyway,
it.
it's the front handle strap, and it's just to help you. There it is. Tow your. It's actually a cam strap that's 7 foot long, so it can tow your. You can loosen it all up to 7 feet. You can tow your kayak to and from the water. You can, I even use it sometimes to just give it extra securing strap to the back of my truck.
Mm.
You can do that if you want. It's not really made for that, but you can certainly do it. You can use it as a stand assist handle. You can throw it over your
Okay.
shoulder. There's so many things you can do with it. You can use it as your wading belt. So in tournaments that allow us to wade and fish, I loosen it up and I just put it through like a big loop and just put it through my belt loop and then secure it. And then you just walk and then, that's it. You just walk forward and just start fishing. And then you just have a floating tackle box behind you. So it's a really cool thing. So if you do not have a strap like that, I mean, obviously you can even get those. If you have another brand kayak, you can buy the Crescent handle strap on our website in the accessories area. But it's a really cool thing to have some sort of cam strap that helps you in so many ways. It's one of my favorite features about the boat. And those little mini cam straps you can see there in the picture next to it. Yeah, those on the tank well.
Yeah.
What's
No bungee.
critical? Yeah, no bungee. So you can secure things down as tight as you want. They're not going anywhere. So when you have a Yak Attack black pack in the back, which is another thing that, again, that guy who asked the question said something that's not obvious. I think a Yak Attack black pack is obvious, but maybe that's just because I'm in the industry. Maybe it's not obvious, but you need a crate. And the best one out there is the black pack from Yak Attack. So in each corner of that black pack, it's got a little slot where our cam strap can go right through there and secure it down. And it's going nowhere. So if you do flip, worst case scenario happens and you do end up flipping over, no big deal. Your stuff's going to stay put. And without bungee doesn't work. It all falls out. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's just the way it goes.
Nice. So let's take if you guys were to watch us walk through with the owner, I mean, you could tell, sometimes you watch videos and follow content creators because you can just see their passion. Like, they love it and geek out and you're like, I want to learn more from that person. If he had a YouTube channel, I'd follow him because the way he talked about it was almost like his baby. Like, down to the details.
Yeah.
It
Yeah, for
made
sure.
me want to buy one. I was like, holy cow, where's this at? Yeah, this guy right here.
It is. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it is. It's all, I mean, it's his baby for sure. The whole company, like he treats it that way. I mean, almost to a fault, man. Like the guy is involved in everything on the website, on everything that's posted, on everything that's built, everything that's done. You don't find a lot of owners. You can see that there's the graph right there, that fish finder right in that slot. It's pretty cool. I love that.
Is that 9-inch?
Recess there. I think it's a 10-inch.
That's a
Actually
10-inch. Okay.
but most of them, except for that Garmin, if they're 10 inches, they're not going to fit. Most 9s will fit, and then some brands like a Humminbird, you got to go all the way down to 7. But I mean, they fit, like they still fit and work in there, but not as flush and as nice and clean as most of them. But anyway, but that's James just in a nutshell. That's James Durbecker. He's meticulous about all this stuff. It's his baby, like you said. So he gets rotomolding. He came from a rotomolding family. And he gets it, very, very well because he grew up with it. So he's very, very particular about how everything is designed and how it holds up for you guys when you get them. And look, we're not the biggest company. We don't have a giant pro staff. We're not out there just beating the door down with all these anglers out there at all these tournament trails, but people who kind of stumble onto us and get a Crescent, I've never heard anyone that's disappointed. They all love it. They all get it. And they love the boat. So I think that's the word of mouth from the consumers is more of our marketing probably than anything else. And we're proud of that. So,
yeah. So I had Chad Hoover on the show. Actually, this is an unreleased episode. So they're coming out over the next couple weeks, but we were talking about the best and worst kayak fishing companies on the market. And what I remember saying about Crescent is it has one of the most loyal consumer followings in the business.
It does. And we even have Scott Butcher works there. He was on there. He may still be on. I don't know if he's on or not. He was on earlier making a comment. I mean, he's sitting there running the shop, and you guys most people I think still remember Scott. He had a podcast for a long time and worked with KBF for a long time as well. And just is a figure in the industry, an icon for a long time. And now is with Crescent working behind the scenes, kind of running things over there. So we have the people, the understanding of what kayak anglers are looking for. And speaking of which, a lot of what they're looking for it's not really about what we're talking about, this serious hardcore like tournament stuff. It's just, and that's where James, I think that's where he and I kind of came, and it was the perfect fit because he was making these other kayaks. It's a good transition to segue to a light tackle or a CK1 or an ultralight, all the other kayaks that are kind of like, what's good is that because they don't have as many features as the Shoaly does, it allows the price point to come down even further for a quality US made product. And it still has Yak Attack gear tracks. They still have all, you really need to kind of build it up. But a lot of folks out there aren't fishing hardcore tournaments. They don't need all the bells and whistles. So if you click on a light tackle 2 there, for example, it has, or the ultralight or whatever, it's got what all you would need to get you started and get you in at a low price point, and then you can build it up with the gear tracks that are there to fit your needs. So it's still like, look at that, $11.99. I mean, that's an incredible paddling boat.
Comfy seat, good to go.
Yeah, good to go. High-low seating, front hatch. It's even got some of the features from the Shoaly on it with the rod stager grooves, and it comes with a little bag there on the side you can see.
Okay.
And it's a very, very quick hole. So a great paddling boat. So yeah, I mean, that's the cool part is we've not lost sight that kayak fishing isn't just kayak tournament fishing, even though that's what I do. And I make very specialized boats kind of for that, or for that and other more specialized purposes. But the majority of people out there are still just, hey, I fish a little bit, but I also just want to kind of wreck paddle a little bit, or I'm not that serious. I don't need to spend $3,000 or $4,000. Don't need a pedal drive. Don't need a motor.
Right.
This is a perfect brand, like for you.
Yeah. Well, we got Cooler Lid asking the question, AP120. What's next for Crescent Kayak? And this is my question as well. So the Shoaly was the first in your specialized kayak. And is there, I don't know if you can share it or not. I know you said that sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But I'm like, okay, is a pedal drive coming to Crescent? Because that's something I'd be excited about. But I know you can't share things, so I'm not going to put you on the spot. But what you can share, what's next for Crescent Kayak?
Yeah, I mean, I'll let you know. I don't see a pedal drive. I mean, sorry to break your heart here, but I don't see a pedal drive in our future for a long time or whatever, because it's just not who we are. And we have so many more great paddling kayaks that in the works, you know what I mean? It's going to be a long time before we ever. And here's the thing, man, it's not just, it sounds great in theory. Everyone out there, oh, I'd love to see a pedal drive, but you got to think there's a business behind this whole thing, right? And you got to realize that developing a pedal drive there's a lot of capital involved in that. Whether you're just going to copy somebody else's drive, which is happening, of course, because Hobie's patent is up on theirs, or whatever, or developing your own pedal drive system, there is so much money that goes into that, and you can actually bankrupt your company by trying to do something like that to gain. I want to get into that space. But you could actually do the opposite. You could actually hurt your sales, and if it doesn't all work out or something happens, whatever. So it's a huge risk, and you don't want to go down that road and take these risks until, for some reason you absolutely had to, you know what I mean? And paddling is, again, for the type of folks that Crescent, I think, caters to, a lot of rec kayakers, a lot of rec / fishermen, even hardcore anglers, especially these folks these days with all the tournament trails, except for the Hobie Bass Open Series, or at least all the national tournament trails do allow motors. And then it's kind of like, okay, we've got enough boats for people to put motors on, for people to paddle, for all the rec anglers, that there's just no need to go down that road, So that's kind of why we're not going there yet. And there's plenty of good companies out there that are doing that. So it's like the pie's you're just gonna kind of try to get a little bit, a teeny little sliver of that pie, and it's
a small pie. So you're asking for a small piece of a small pie. Small piece of a small piece of pie. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, and it may be, and it's definitely popular, and it's that pie is getting bigger with that stuff. But there's a lot of people doing it, so like you said, it's just not worth the investment. And we love paddling, and there's so many places like rivers and creeks that you just you can't pedal drive anyway, and that's never going to change. I mean, it's never going to change. You can't go into thick vegetation with pedal drive. So all the places that I usually fish and do well and win tournaments, I'm looking for places. I'm know your competition. I'm looking, okay, my competition, I know they all have pedal drives, they all have motors. So when I did well and I won the AOI with Hobie and with Bassmaster, I had no pedal drive, no motor, no graphs. And I was looking for places that they were not going to go because their pedal drives don't work there, their motors don't work there. And it let me have those places all to myself, if that makes sense. Because if you have a motor, you're going to go to a place where the motor excels. If you have a pedal drive, you're going to do something where that tool is best at. And our tool, there's still plenty of water. And that's why I got into kayak fishing, because I fish wild and remote places, rivers and creeks, and the paddle will never be topped in those places. I mean, there's certainly sometimes I've been super impressed with what the Torpedo can handle and where it can go, especially if you get a Innovative Sportsman rock guard on that thing, and the weed cutter from Innovative Sportsman on that motor. It is impressive where it can go, but there's still a lot of places it still can't even go, and that's where I'm going to go, and that's where Crescent's going, and of course they work anywhere as well. But
yeah. That surely looks sweet. I was up at my local, well, I guess technically you're local, since I realized we're just neighbors. Falls Outdoors.
Yeah, Falls.
And they have TJ up there. I think he had a shoalie in there. I got my eyes on it for the first time. I'm like, oh, that thing's pretty.
We need to go do a hangout there.
Well done. I know, right?
There you go. Get you and I get some pizzas, get some guys up there, get some beers. I mean, come on, go have a hangout, everybody up there, and talk kayak fishing and just hang out.
Yeah. Oh man, so what's new? We answered a question on whether you're going into pedal, and we're gonna stay paddle. But what's happening? This is kind of be the last question, since we're we're not overtime because there's no real time limit to this bad boy. But what is new? What can we expect from Crescent? Because you nailed it with the shoalie, right? That, and there might be one other kayak that kind of is neck and neck for river fishing, but it's good to be the first or second or whatever.
Right, sure.
So well done on that. So tip my hat to you guys. And Zach asked a question, what's this place? It's Falls Outdoors Adventure Company. It's up in Cuyahoga Falls.
Cuyahoga Falls, yep.
They
do carry Crescent now. Yeah, exactly. It's actually a really cool place.
And he just moved into a bigger place.
Oh, did he? Okay, I was in the old place where it was in the basement. It was really cool. They had live music there. It was just a fun place, but that's cool. I'll have to go. I still haven't even been there since they carry Crescent, so I need to get over there.
There you go. And Cooler Lid asked the question before we kind of finish on the last question here. He's like, where can I demo a shoalie? So I know, for instance, I'll speak with Falls Outdoors. He, over the next year, is creating a fleet of demo kayaks where you can come in and take something like a shoalie out for a day. Like, you can rent it for like $50. And you can take it out on waters and then bring it back. And so it like beats a demo day where you can like hop in it for 5 minutes, they'll pedal around and come back.
Right.
You can actually go out and fish it for a day. And so I don't hear of that too often, but Falls Outdoors is gearing up to do that, which is pretty cool. Any thoughts on that question?
Yes, Drew? I would go on crescentkayaks.com, look at the dealer locator, find the nearest Crescent dealer. If you're looking to demo Crescent, call them up, and most likely they will have a demo you can check out or know how to get, or tell you when their demo day is. Most demo days are in, depending on what part of the country, April, May, June at the latest probably. But they will always, I don't know any dealer, especially the Crescent dealers, the independent mom and pop kind of, shops that won't find a way to get you to demo the kayak you need, to make sure you're in the right boat. So call them up. The dealer locator is right there. You put in your zip code. It'll show you where the nearest one is. The other thing I will say is the Kayak Adventure Series next year. If you're looking to test out some kayaks next year, we'll have kayak demos at most every tournament stop on our some of them on the Thursday opening ceremonies but definitely on the Saturdays at most locations. So that's another chance. And then the kayak fishing community is awesome. If you get involved and plugged in, most people can find a way to get you into a kayak and share a kayak. Just if you need to test one out, everyone knows everybody knows who's got what. So
100% agree with you there. And if you're near Northeast Ohio, like, reach out to me. I'd love this. If I'm free and not doing anything, you're like, hey, I want to go check out a kayak up at Falls Outdoors, just let me know. If I can meet you, I will. I love meeting new people, so that'd be freaking awesome. All right, last question for you, Drew. What can we expect, or kind of what's the vision for Crescent Kayaks? Because it hasn't been on my radar, to be completely honest with you, until I started geeking out on it today on the website, watching some videos. And now I'm very interested, especially I want to get into more river fishing. I love creek fishing. I typically do it by wading, but the shoalie was like, I'm thinking about it. I've been thinking about it all day. And so that's really bad. That's really bad for me.
Float, wade with that boat. You can do whatever. Get the strap,
I know.
whatever. All right. So what's next? I mean, I will say that the shoalie was a great first, introduction. Working on something next. I mean, obviously, we've got a size kayak that I think hit the most people fit in that shoalie. Most people, but we can kind of go up, we can go down from there. We're working on something, and then we got another interesting new product that's coming out. It's I'll say it's quasi specialized fishing. It's interesting. That's coming out pretty soon.
Okay.
But then the next one will be out. I mean, I don't know exactly.
What's
So
pretty soon? You don't say what it
I
is,
would
but what's
say
pretty soon?
I would say, I mean, it's this year and in time for you to still get on the water, most likely with it, depending on where you live this year.
Nice.
So it
Oh wow, that
fairly
is soon.
So, and then the other one will be next year. So I'll just say next year sometime. Hopefully earlier the better. We're always shooting for, getting the season where it's out in time for you guys to be using it. So so we're already in August. We're basically September. So I'll say before next season, like the spring or late spring next year, between now and then, you're probably gonna have 2 new kayaks from Crescent 2 that'll be very fishy, if that makes
Yes.
sense.
It
Focused.
doesn't. So explain what that means to me.
They're gonna be ready for you guys. They're gonna be good. They're gonna be as cool as the shoalie, and I think you're gonna
Okay,
like
there we
them.
go.
So, yeah.
I love it. Well,
Yeah.
tell us where we can find you. Do you have any like passion projects on the side, your YouTube channel? What are the names? Because I noticed today
Yeah,
when
I
I was
mean,
like tagging you, they're not all the
sure.
same.
Well, they aren't, but they're basically, I mean, everything for me is Drew Gregory Fishing. My YouTube is Drew Gregory Fishing. The Facebook page, the Instagram, it's all the same. But the Kayak Adventure Series is obviously, Kayak Adventure Series. But yeah, I mean, you guys can just hit me up any of those social media platforms. Please go follow the Kayak Adventure Series Instagram. We just started it. Facebook page if you're more of a Facebook person, and YouTube channel. We'll be definitely doing more live streams from that channel. But in the meantime, we're going to be using the Drew Gregory Fishing channel and others like Alex Rudd and who are, by the way, Alex Rudd's going to MC with me on stage at the Kayak Adventure Series. So
All right.
that's going to be a trip, and we want to invite you to come to the events because where you live, where I live, basically we are in one of the best locations to hit all of those events. Like you're saying, like they're all, we have one that's 5.5 hours this way, 4.5 hours this way, and then like down to Georgia's a little bit further, but they're actually all, we are in I'd say Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, like Tennessee are probably all in the best position to hit as many of those as possible because,
Yep.
they're right in the middle from, the radius, if you will, from all the events. So go check it out, follow us. And we want to keep the momentum going on that series. People are excited about it. And then I will say to Brian Slayton, who asked the question earlier, real quick, because
Creek
I
crawler.
saw you. Yes, I did see
Oh, yeah.
your question. PFDs, why do I wear the foam ones over the inflatables? I do it because it's got all the pockets on it. It helps me. I keep a lot of things in there. I have which here's another little tip. If you stay this long, I do keep a little, not always in my PFD, but I do keep a little thermometer, a digital meat thermometer, and I check water temperatures with a digital meat thermometer when I'm quickly running. Let's say you're at a bridge for a creek or a river and you're pre-fishing, you're going to all those points I was telling you guys about. And a lot of times I'm not even unloading my kayak. I'm just driving around and seeing and so I'm checking water temperatures. But anyway, I can keep that in my life jacket. There's just lots of things you can keep in the life jacket that I need handy, super glue, stuff like that. I like those pockets. Plus, it's actually a safer style PFD when you have that positive flotation. It is a little safer in case the little mechanism for air doesn't go off and float you. It is just safer.
I've seen the videos. It's terrifying when they jump in and they didn't go off. You're like, holy crap.
For sure. So I'm just used to it, and it doesn't bother me with my casting or anything. So that's why I use it. I use a Stolquist. Yeah, man. So we want to invite you to come to Kayak Adventure Series event. We'll have you there. We're going to have podcasters and YouTubers and influencers heavily involved in those and in a lot of cool ways. I can tell you more about it later. So we want to invite you to be a part of it. And if you're interested in even, bringing a mobile setup or something, we got plans for things like that from podcasters and YouTubers and content creators. So yeah, love to see you there. It's going to be fun.
I thought of it all. Well, folks, Drew brought, there's so many tips in there, not just for the kayak angler. I mean, for the tournament angler, but just for like your home lake. right? Have you ever gone into Google Maps Pro and then started mapping all this out and start picking it apart? Just so many great tips. So thank you so much for sharing with what works for you. Obviously, it worked for you. For those on a podcast, can't see this, but Drew is swimming in big checks right now and trophies. And
where did that money go? I
yeah,
guess
right.
Wife and 2 kids. That's where it went, I guess.
That's where it
swimming
went.
that checks in the what used to be. Anyway.
Impressive.
Yeah,
Well,
thanks, man.
everybody, Drew, thank you. And join us next week. I have all 4 winners of the Knucklehead Bass Fishing Series on the show, where we'll get some insights on how they were able to catch consistent donkeys. And so that's going to be pretty awesome. They're my teammates, so I look forward to picking that apart myself. I'll see you next Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for watching. See you.